Welcome to Epic Stories, your destination to delve into the unfathomable mysteries of crime history. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to explore the darkest depths and the most unfathomable mysteries of human history, spanning the ages. From elusive serial killers to mysterious disappearances that continue to haunt our imagination, each crime story is a journey into the unknown, a dive into the human soul, and an exploration of the boundaries of our understanding. In this series, we'll uncover famous criminal cases, unsolved mysteries that defy explanation, and the legendary detectives who tracked evil to its roots. We'll discover how these crimes have left their mark on popular culture, inspiring authors, filmmakers, and creators worldwide. Get ready to be captivated, horrified, and intrigued, because the history of crimes is a complex tapestry of darkness and light, mystery and revelation. So if you're ready to dive into the abyss of crime history with us, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell to stay in the loop, and prepare for a gripping journey you won't soon forget. The history of crimes begins now. Detective Robert Lawson had seen his fair share of crime scenes, but this one was different. He stepped into the dimly lit apartment where the stench of death lingered in the air. The victim, a middle-aged woman, lay lifeless on the floor, her body twisted in an unnatural pose. Bloodstains painted a macabre picture around her. The team of detectives moved cautiously, documenting the gruesome scene. The killer had left no fingerprints, no trace of their presence, except for one eerie detail. On a small table near the victim, a wooden box sat prominently, adorned with intricate carvings. Detective Maria Ramirez, a seasoned investigator known for her sharp instincts, approached the box cautiously. She carefully opened it, revealing a jigsaw puzzle meticulously arranged inside. The pieces formed a cryptic image, a message that sent shivers down their spines. The puzzle displayed a menacing raven perched on a gnarled tree branch, with a cryptic message written in bold red letters beneath it. "The game begins." The discovery sent shockwaves through the department, and the media was quick to catch wind of it. News vans descended upon the crime scene, reporters vying for the latest scoop. The city was captivated by the gruesome murder and the ominous puzzle left by the killer. As the investigation kicked off, Detective Lawson couldn't shake the feeling that they were dealing with a mind unlike any they had encountered before. The puzzle was just the beginning, a sinister invitation to a deadly game of wits. Little did they know that the city was about to be plunged into a series of perplexing and horrifying mysteries, with each puzzle leading them closer to the elusive killer's identity. Detective Sarah Harris was an enigma in the world of law enforcement. Her reputation as a brilliant and eccentric puzzle-solving expert preceded her wherever she went. With her unruly hair, mismatched socks, and a penchant for quoting obscure poets, she was an unconventional figure, even among seasoned detectives. One rainy evening, in the dimly lit offices of the police department, Detective Robert Lawson received a phone call that would change the course of the investigation. It was the chief, and his voice carried a mixture of frustration and hope. "We need Harris," the chief said, his tone brooking no argument. "Bring her in." Detective Lawson knew that there was no one quite like Detective Harris when it came to deciphering cryptic puzzles and solving intricate mysteries. Her unconventional methods were legendary, and her success rate spoke for itself. But working with her was another matter altogether. After a few phone calls and some persuasion, Detective Lawson managed to arrange a meeting with Detective Harris. She arrived at the precinct wearing a faded t-shirt with a math joke and her signature oversized trench coat, which seemed to carry an assortment of odds and ends. "Lawson," she said, sizing him up with piercing blue eyes that missed nothing, What intriguing enigma have you dragged me into this time? Detective Lawson explained the situation, the gruesome murder, and the ominous puzzle left by the killer. He emphasized the urgency of the case and the need for Detective Harris's expertise. She listened intently, her fingers drumming a complex rhythm on the edge of her coat. "Very well," she finally said, her eyes gleaming with a strange mix of excitement and determination. "Let's see what this killer has in store for us." As she immersed herself in the details of the case, Detective Harris's unconventional methods became evident. She insisted on visiting the crime scene at odd hours, scribbling notes in a leather-bound journal covered in cryptic symbols, and interviewing witnesses with a relentless curiosity. Detective Lawson watched in fascination and frustration as she approached the case with an intensity that bordered on obsession. It was clear that Detective Harris had become entangled in the web of this puzzle, and she would stop at nothing to catch the killer and decipher the cryptic messages left behind. Little did they know that this partnership between the unorthodox detective and the seasoned investigator would lead them down a perilous path, where the line between solving puzzles and risking their lives would blur in the pursuit of a cunning and elusive serial killer. In the dimly lit room at the precinct, Detective Sarah Harris spread out the puzzle pieces on a worn-out table. Her eyes bore into the jigsaw puzzle, and her fingers moved with a precision that seemed almost supernatural. It was as though she could feel the puzzle's secrets whispering to her. Detective Robert Lawson watched in fascination as Detective Harris worked her magic. Her unique skills and intuition were on full display. She examined each piece, turning it this way and that, as if coaxing it to reveal its hidden meaning. Hours turned into days as Detective Harris meticulously pieced together the puzzle. Symbols, shapes, and cryptic images emerged. It was a puzzle like no other, a maze of intricacy that seemed designed to confound. Then, as the final piece fell into place, Detective Harris's eyes widened. She stared at the completed puzzle, her expression a mix of astonishment and dread. The message it formed was chilling and disturbing, like a riddle from the darkest corners of the human psyche. The puzzle had unveiled a message, a sinister revelation that sent shivers down their spines. In bold letters, it spelled out a series of words. The key to salvation lies in the labyrinth of suffering. Detective Harris knew that they were dealing with a mind that reveled in torment and complexity. It was a message that hinted at the killer's motives, but its full meaning remained elusive. The race against time intensified. The message suggested that more lives hung in the balance, that the killer had a twisted sense of purpose. Detective Harris and Detective Lawson knew that they needed to decipher this cryptic clue and prevent the next murder. As they delved deeper into the puzzle's meaning, a sense of urgency gripped them. The labyrinth of suffering was a dark path they were determined to navigate, but the clock was ticking, and the killer's motives remained a puzzle of their own. In the days that followed, Detective Harris's obsession with solving the puzzle would lead them down a harrowing journey where the lines between justice and madness blurred, and the price of deciphering the killer's mind would prove to be higher than they could have ever imagined. Detective Sarah Harris was known for her unconventional approach to solving mysteries, and as she delved deeper into the puzzle of the serial killer, her methods became increasingly idiosyncratic. One evening, she arrived at the latest crime scene at an odd hour, long after the sun had set. The moon cast an eerie glow over the scene, and the other detectives exchanged bewildered glances as she examined the surroundings with a pocket flashlight. Sometimes, Detective Harris mused, the answers reveal themselves in the quiet of the night. She followed obscure leads that others might have dismissed as irrelevant. A cryptic symbol scrawled on a nearby wall caught her attention, and she meticulously documented it in her leather-bound journal. The symbol, she believed, was a clue, an invitation into the killer's mind. Her interviews with witnesses were equally unorthodox. She sought out those who lived on the fringes of society, the misfits and eccentrics who often went unnoticed. To Detective Harris, they held secrets that could unlock the puzzle. As she conducted these unconventional interviews, her colleagues couldn't help but raise their eyebrows. They watched with a mix of skepticism and fascination as she approached each witness with a blend of empathy and curiosity, drawing out information that had eluded the rest of the team. Tension simmered within the precinct. Detective Harris's eccentric methods clashed with the more traditional investigative techniques of her colleagues. The seasoned detectives found themselves torn between skepticism and a growing respect for her uncanny ability to extract vital clues from the most unlikely sources. Despite the friction, Detective Harris remained undeterred. She knew that her methods were unorthodox, but she also knew that they were yielding crucial leads. As she pieced together the puzzle, the tension between her and her skeptical colleagues would continue to mount. In the shadowy world of the serial killer, where the line between sanity and madness blurred, Detective Harris's unconventional approach might be their only hope of deciphering the cryptic messages and unraveling the killer's twisted motives. As Detective Sarah Harris delved deeper into the intricate puzzle left by the serial killer, the stakes grew higher. The killer, it seemed, relished the challenge of their pursuit. Soon, the cat-and-mouse game escalated to a disturbing level. The first taunt arrived in the form of another puzzle, even more complex and enigmatic than the previous ones. It arrived at the precinct, addressed to Detective Harris herself. The killer had somehow learned of her involvement and had taken the challenge to a personal level. This time, the puzzle hinted at a darker knowledge. It alluded to Detective Harris's vulnerabilities, her past, and the demons she had struggled to confront. Each piece of the puzzle was a reminder of secrets she had buried deep within. As the puzzle progressed, it became apparent that the killer had an intimate knowledge of Detective Harris's life. They seemed to be one step ahead, anticipating her every move. It was as though they had penetrated her innermost thoughts. The pressure on Detective Harris was immense. The public, entranced by the media's coverage, looked to her for answers. They saw her as the one hope in this nightmarish puzzle. Reporters swarmed outside the precinct, cameras flashing, microphones thrust in her face, all demanding a glimpse into the mind of the brilliant detective. Media scrutiny intensified as the killer's taunts continued. Detective Harris became a household name, both admired and feared. The city watched and waited, hanging on her every word and move. But Detective Harris was unyielding in her determination to catch the killer. The more personal the taunts became, the harder she pushed herself to unravel the cryptic messages. Her resolve never wavered, even as the pressure threatened to consume her. She knew that to catch this cunning killer, she had to embrace the darkness within herself, confront her own vulnerabilities, and decipher the twisted mind behind the puzzles. The killer may have taunted her with their malevolent games, but Detective Harris was determined to turn the tables and bring the darkness to light. Detective Sarah Harris had spent countless sleepless nights poring over the killer's puzzles, determined to unravel the twisted mind behind them. As the pressure mounted and the city held its breath, she had a breakthrough that would take the investigation in a new direction. In her cluttered office, walls adorned with maps, strings connecting various clues, and a whiteboard filled with cryptic symbols, Detective Harris saw a pattern emerge. The killer's puzzles were not random, but part of a carefully constructed narrative. Each puzzle revealed a piece of the killer's story, a dark journey that was meant to be deciphered. She called Detective Robert Lawson and her colleagues to her office, excitement and exhaustion etched on her face. "I've found it," she said, pointing to the intricate web of clues. "There's a pattern to these puzzles, a sequence that tells a story. We've been chasing shadows, but now we have a thread to follow." With renewed determination, Detective Harris pieced together the killer's narrative. It hinted at a troubled past, a series of traumatic events that had driven the killer to commit these gruesome acts. It was a chilling story of revenge, madness, and obsession. As Detective Harris and her team narrowed down the list of potential suspects, they found themselves getting closer to the killer's identity. But their progress came at a cost. Higher-ups within the department grew increasingly resistant to Detective Harris's unorthodox methods and the media circus surrounding the case. The killer, sensing that they were closing in, became more brazen. The puzzles grew even more complex and the danger escalated. Each puzzle was a race against time, a desperate attempt to prevent the next murder. Tensions ran high as the city's fear and fascination with the case reached its peak. The line between justice and chaos blurred, and Detective Harris knew that they were on the verge of a reckoning. The breakthrough had brought them one step closer to catching the killer, but it had also pushed them further into the killer's dark and dangerous world. With the killer's pattern finally deciphered, Detective Sarah Harris and her dedicated team embarked on a high-stakes pursuit to track down the killer's lair. It was a perilous journey into the heart of darkness, guided only by the breadcrumbs left in the wake of each gruesome puzzle. The trail led them to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. It was a desolate place, shrouded in darkness, where the killer had concealed their malevolent secrets. As the team cautiously approached the decrepit building, tension hung in the air like a heavy fog. Inside the warehouse, a grim tableau awaited them. Walls adorned with cryptic symbols, gruesome trophies from the killer's victims, and a chilling shrine to their twisted obsession. It was a place of nightmares, a testament to the depths of madness they had plunged. As they delved further into the lair, the team felt the killer's presence closing in around them. Every step was laden with danger, every shadow concealing a potential threat. It was a chilling game of cat and mouse where the stakes were life and death. And then, in the heart of the lair, they confronted the killer, a figure cloaked in darkness, their face obscured by a grotesque mask. The tension in the room was palpable, a deadly silence broken only by the sound of their collective breaths. The showdown that followed was a thrilling and suspenseful battle of wits and wills. Detective Harris and the killer engaged in a psychological duel, where each word and action held life-altering consequences. The killer's true motives and identity were revealed, exposing a twisted narrative of revenge and madness. In the dimly lit confines of the lair, Detective Harris faced the killer with unwavering determination, determined to bring their reign of terror to an end. It was a battle of darkness and light, where the line between justice and vengeance blurred and the outcome hung in the balance. The showdown between Detective Harris and the killer was a heart-pounding climax to the relentless pursuit of a cunning and elusive serial murderer. As the tension reached its zenith, the city held its breath, waiting for the final twist in this harrowing tale of cryptic puzzles and deadly obsession. In the cold and haunting aftermath of the showdown, justice prevailed. The team, led by Detective Sarah Harris, apprehended the elusive killer whose reign of terror had gripped the city. With their capture, a sense of relief washed over the investigators and the residents alike. The killer, once shrouded in darkness and mystery, now stood exposed and vulnerable, their reign of terror at an end. The chilling mask fell away, revealing a face twisted by madness and obsession. Handcuffed and defeated, they were led away by law enforcement, their sinister journey of cryptic puzzles and gruesome murders at an end. For Detective Harris, the resolution of the case brought a mix of emotions. As she stood amid the solemnity of justice served, she couldn't help but reflect on her unconventional methods, the toll they had taken, and the price she had paid to unravel the killer's dark narrative. The city, once held captive by fear, began to heal. the nightmares that had haunted the streets began to fade, replaced by a renewed sense of safety and hope. The scars left by the killer's reign would linger, but the city's resilience prevailed. Detective Harris's reputation grew even further, her name becoming synonymous with relentless pursuit of justice. Yet, true to her enigmatic nature, she remained a figure of intrigue and mystery. Her methods had proven effective, but they had also raised questions about the thin line between brilliance and obsession. As the city moved forward, Detective Harris retreated into her enigmatic life, returning to the shadows from which she had emerged. She knew that the world would always hold its dark secrets, its cryptic puzzles waiting to be deciphered, and if the need arose, she would be there, ready to confront the darkness once more. The resolution of the case marked the end of a harrowing journey, a chapter in the city's history that would never be forgotten. It was a testament to the indomitable human spirit and the unwavering pursuit of justice, even in the face of the most cryptic and sinister of adversaries. With the apprehension of the serial killer and the resolution of the cryptic, puzzle-driven reign of terror, the city and its residents could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But the aftermath of the case left indelible marks on Detective Sarah Harris and her dedicated team. For Detective Harris, the experience had been transformative. She had walked the precipice between brilliance and obsession, and it had left its scars. As she sat in her office, the leather-bound journal filled with the killer's cryptic puzzles now closed, she couldn't help but reflect on the toll it had taken on her. The relentless pursuit of the killer had pushed her to the limits of her own mind. It had forced her to confront her own vulnerabilities, the demons that haunted her past. It had shown her the thin line between brilliance and madness, and she knew she had danced dangerously close to that line. Her colleagues, too, had been changed by the case. The tension, the sleepless nights, and the relentless chase had forged bonds among them that could never be broken. They had seen the worst of humanity, but they had also seen the best, the unwavering determination to bring justice to the victims and their families. In the city itself, the impact of the case was profound. The fear that had once gripped the streets began to recede, replaced by a cautious sense of security. The scars of the killer's reign remained, but the healing had begun. However, even as the city moved forward, there was a sense that the shadows still held secrets, that cryptic puzzles and mysteries still lurked in the darkness. Detective Harris knew that the world was a labyrinth of enigmas, and she had become a guardian against the unknown. As she closed her office door, she couldn't shake the feeling that the cryptic puzzles were not gone for good. There was an unsettling sense that somewhere, someone else was crafting intricate riddles, waiting for their chance to challenge the brilliant detective once more. The aftermath of the case left Detective Harris and her team forever changed, their perspectives altered by the relentless pursuit of a cryptic and elusive killer. The impact on the city and its residents would linger, a testament to the enduring power of human resilience and the unyielding pursuit of justice in the face of the most cryptic of adversaries. Thank you for joining us on this storytelling journey today. If you enjoyed the tales we've shared, don't forget to hit that like button below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories that will transport you to different worlds. We love hearing from you, so please leave your comments and suggestions down below. What stories would you like us to explore next? Until next time, keep dreaming, keep exploring, and keep storytelling. From all of us here at Your Channel Name, thank you for being a part of our storytelling community.